Hello and welcome to the transcription explanations of these designs. They're all my Hollow Knight designs, including the designs that are on my tattoo here and on my jewelry. Um, but yeah, and on the pocket watches and stuff I like to make with these designs. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about how they say what they say using this script shown above me. First things first, I'm involved in the Hollow Knight community mostly recreationally, and I do a little bit of the speedrunner versus hunter things with Fireborn, and I do some like casual like bingo speedrunning and stuff of my own. I'm not like highly competitive, but I'm way better than your average Joe. Yippee. I play a lot of bug game. And this script is my nerd claim to fame, as it is something that me and my friends developed in school, and it went viral to the point of being adopted on the TV show Doctor Who as the language of the Time Lords, Circular Gallifreyan. So, exposition aside, let's get to how these designs say soul of worm, soul of root, heart of void, and then the same thing again repeated soul of worm, soul of root, heart of void. And then these designs say higher beings, these words are for you alone, no cost too great. And I have survived the fury of your land, and I have seen wonder behind its dangers. Daughter of Hallownest. So, there's a lot going on, and as you can tell, the same words can look a million different ways because there's stuff that looks like this, there's stuff that looks like this, and how does all make sense? Well, reading order is bottom counterclockwise, like a time traveler going back in time. And that is true for the letters inside our words, as well as our words inside our sentence. And sometimes words are broken up into little chunks like here, like word, word, space, word, space, word. Or they're in full circles, like word, 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 word. And this reading order is sometimes changed or easier to see with this start marker. So you see this shape, this tells you where the bottom is and which direction counterclockwise is. And that's how you can get mirrored designs like this, where that start marker is still here. So even though this is backwards, right? This is not red bottom counterclockwise in this section. If we look at it this way, it is right, but then if we look at it this way, it's wrong. Well, how can you still tell where to read it? Well, you find the start marker, and because this design is mirrored and flipped, it means that if you put on your ring, so long as you start on, or your bracelet, the edge, it'll read right. So if I'm looking at mine this way, it reads right, and then if I'm looking at it this way, it reads right. So it makes a lot of sense for a physical item that can be flipped upside down. So, like, if you put on your ring this way, you still read starting at the bottom going counterclockwise. And if you put on your ring this way, it still is read bottom counterclockwise and it's still fully legible. I don't need the start marker on these designs, though I have them. Here's a little start marker in there, and here's a little start marker in there. And that's because these hang on like watches, pendants, charms, and stuff. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to how the letters are what the letters are. So again, if you look at the grid above me, you'll notice rows and columns. The different rows are the different letter stems. In the top row, there's a horseshoe shape like this one. See how this is like an omega? Where the second row, and the whole grid above me, is a circle that's fully inside our word circle. So this is another divot, so it's not one of those. But here, okay, so here's our word circle. This is fully inside our word circle, so that's going to be in the second row. A third row letter is something like this. That is a shallow divot, like a bite taken out of a cookie. So third row, first row, third row. And yeah. So wait, did I say it? This should be third row, third row. Uh, no, second row. I know the rows. I have it memorized. This is a full floating circle, so second row. This is a full floating circle, so second row. This is a shallow divot, so third row. Shallow divot, so third row. Shallow divot, so third row. Full deep divot, so first row. Same as nothing else here. So first row, and then third row, and then third row. Okay, yeah, that's what's up. And then our very bottom row, our last row, is a crossing circle. So here's our word, right? And this guy crosses our word circles. That's in the bottom ring. So that's how you can tell the rows. And then the columns, they're made with dots and lines. So this is pretty easy to tell that there are 1, 2, 3 dots on this letter. There's also 1, 2, 3 dots on this letter. So the dots can cross line, they can be inside. Doesn't matter. Here's one that's fully inside, 1, 2, 3 dots. So this shallow divot with 3 dots is actually the same letter as this shallow divot with 3 dots. And that's the letter R. And here's another shallow divot with 3 dots. So there's another R. Here's a floating circle with 3 dots. And here's a deep divot with 3 dots. So they all have 3 dots, but they are different letter stems, so they're in different rows, so they're different letters. You can have things with 2 dots. You can have things with 1 dot, with 4 dots, so on and so forth. And then line modifiers. Lines count where they end on a letter. So let's take a look at this. This has a line on it. So that means it's in the line with the column with 1 line, so the very end. And this is a full circle, so that's the letter N. So do you see how that lines up over there? Okay, and then we have this one. Now this one has 1, 2, 3 lines coming off the shallot of it. And it's okay that these lines curve and kind of form another circle. In fact, things like this, we have that line modifier curving around. So 1, 2, 3 lines again on this is still the letter S. So this is a letter S, and this is a letter S because it's a shallow divot with 3 lines. Lines can connect up between different letters, in between words, and yada yada. So that's everything in the big grid above me. Now let's talk about vowels. They're the little guys kind of in the corner over there, and vowels are smaller than consonants. So here's a vowel, 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 vowel. We kind of get the point, yeah? And vowels are empty in the middle. That's why they're different from dots. So dots look a lot like vowels, but dots are empty in the middle. So let's go ahead and talk about the difference between the vowels. A's are positioned outside of our word circle. So here is our word circle, right? The circle here. And this little guy is outside of our word circle. So that's an A. Where E's are centered, like this one. So here's an E. And O's are internal. So here's an O, 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 E, A. I's have a line going inwards. So here's a little guy. It's kind of like an E because it's centered with a line going inwards. Here's I should talk about attached and unattached. So this vowel is part of this consonant, just like this vowel is part of this consonant. And again, I have those little guys shown on the 4 different consonant stems. And an E is centered right in the middle of a consonant stem, where an O is internal, so it's attached like a bead on a string. Here's another O attached. And an A is still going to be outside of our word circle, but it can be directly in line with a letter. Let's see if I have any examples of attached A's anywhere. Here's an attached U with a line going out. I don't have any... There we go. Okay, so here we have 2 letters at the same spot, and you might want to start with this letter, but it's a vowel, and it's attached to this, and you read consonant before vowel. This A is attached to that deep divot, that D. Here's another one over there. So that's what the attached vowels look like. And then I's have a line going inwards, so here's an I because it's going inwards towards the center of our word circle. And then U's have a line going outwards, away from the center of our word circle. Sorry, I'm looking at my tattoo, just seeing the thing. It's right there. Yippee. But yeah. Okay, so that's how the script works. So let's go ahead and read some of this stuff. So here's our start marker, and all of this junk is just filigree that looks like stuff from the game. And then we go over here. Oh yeah, sentence circle. There's sometimes stuff on the outer circle, so like this guy is one of the outer circles. It's not a full word circle. So this dot's going to be punctuation. It's going to be a comma because it's on that outer circle, just like this is on our outer circle. These aren't 3 E's. They are 3 periods because they're on our outer sentence circle and not on a word circle. Anyway, so we have this deep divot with 2 lines, so that is an H, and then an I has a line going inwards. This circle crosses our word circle, so it's in the bottom row and has 1 dot, so it's a GH. E is centered, R has 3 dots, so that's the word higher. And then we have this word. We have a deep divot with no dots or lines on it. Instead, then we have a B and then the E, I line going inwards, the NG with the 1, 2, 3 lines on it, S with 3 lines on it, so that's the beings. So higher beings with the comma. TH centered, E centered, 1, 2, 3 lines on the S, and then the E, so these. W has 2 sneaky lines, this thick line here. O is internal, R with 3 dots, a D is a deep divot with 3 dots, and then the S is a shallow divot with 3 lines. So that's words. A is centered, sorry, that's not centered, that's outside our word circle. I just said centered because I was looking ahead at the E, which is centered. A is external, outside our word circle. R is a shallow divot with 3 dots. E is centered. And then our F is a deep divot, so it's top row, horseshoe shape. 1, 2, 3 lines on it is the F. O is internal, R is a shallow divot with 3 dots, so 4. Y crosses with 2 dots, so that's a Y. And then our O is internal, so it's on the line of that consonant stem, and then the U has a line going outwards, so that's the word U. A is outside our word circle, 3 dots on the L, O internal, N with 1 line, and then the E, so alone. So here we have higher beings with the comma. These words are for you alone. And the only thing that I would really complain if I were nitpicking somebody about this is this comma looks like it's between the higher and beings rather than the beings and uh, higher beings comma. It kind of should be over there. I really should have put it there, but there wasn't a spot to put it there, so I put it here just for artistic and balancing with the A. So that's the biggest rules cheese in the outer sentence bit here, is this little dot. This one here. I cheesed the dot. I cheesed the comma. Right. Cool. Let's read the inner bit. You start at the bottom and go counterclockwise again. So here's an N with 1 line on it. O internal. 2 dots on the K. O internal. S shallow divot 3 lines. T space. T O O. G deep divot 1 line. R 3 dots. E centered. A external, and then a T is a shallow divot with no modifiers. So no cost too great. So that's how this design says higher beings. These words are for you alone. No cost too great. And then let's go ahead and read this. So starting here, this is our first word circle, and all it has is this little letter I with a line going inwards. That word is I. And then this word, H, 2 lines on it, A outside the word circle, V shallow divot 1 line, E centered, so have, 1, 2, 3 lines on the S, U line going outwards, R 3 dots, V with 1 line, I line going inwards, V with 1 line again, E centered, D deep divot 3 dots, so there's survived. TH crosses, so it's in the bottom row, first column because it's got no lines or dots. So TH, E centered, so this deep divot has 1, 2, 3 lines, there's the E, F, U, R, Y with 2 dots, so that's Fury. Here's the 3 dots for the R and then the 2 dots for the Y. This starts at the bottom going counterclockwise. O, internal, 1, 2, 3 lines on the F, 1, 2 lines on the Y, O, internal, U line going outwards, 3 dots on the R, so that's your. L with 3 dots, A outside the word circle, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on this deep divot, making it the letter ND, so it's LAND, land. And then here's another ND, except it's after our A, so A and D, so and. I line going inwards, 1, 2 lines on the H, A, V with 1 line, E, so have, 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot for the S, 2 E's, and then this N has 1 line there, so seen. This shallow divot has 2 lines, so W, O inside, N with 1 line on it. This D has 3 dots, E centered, R with 3 dots. So I've seen wonder. Here's our B, deep divot, no modifiers. This line does not end on it, it ends on the I. So B, and then our E is centered. This deep divot has those 2 lines here, so horseshoe shape with 2 lines sticking off of it, making it a little curvy. So that's the H, I line going inwards, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 dots again on the ND. So behind, I line going inwards, T shallow divot, nothing ending on it, and then 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. So it's 1, 2, 3 dots on the D, A outside the word circle. This crossing circle has 1, 2, 3 lines there. So that's the NG, E, R shallow divot 3 dots, S shallow divot 3 lines. So I have survived the fury of your land, and I have seen wonder behind its dangers. And then let's go ahead and read this one. 3 dots is the D on a deep divot, A, U, line going outwards, G, 1 line on it, H, 2 lines on it, T with an E centered, R, 3 dots, so that's the DAUGHTER, jotter, and then our O is inside our word circle, F with 3 lines, H is a horseshoe with 2 lines on it, A outside our word circle, 3 dots on the L, 3 dots on this L, O internal, the W with 2 lines, N with 1 line on it, E centered, S with 3 lines, T. So that's the daughter of Hallownest. And again, the only bigger cheese I did was this O is so barely centered in line in front of the W. If I were reading this, I'd probably first impulse read the W before the O. But that's because I didn't have much room. It's very small. It's very small. So HALLOWNEST. So that's Hallownest. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this guy. So here's a little start marker telling us to go this way. Here's our first word circle. Starting here, this is not actually a full circle. This is just a line modifier coming from this and going to this. And we have this shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 sneaky lines on it. So that's an S. And then you have an O internal, so it's attached like a bead on a string. And this is a thicker line, so it's going to be second. So if there's 2 letters in the same spot, so like stacked or 2 vowels attached to the same consonant, you can indicate which one is read first by making one obviously thinner and the other one thicker. So that's a U after the O. So S-O-U, line going outwards. And it's okay that the line eventually curves back inwards. What matters is that it starts off going outwards. And then there's 3 dots on the L. So sol. The O is internal, and then this deep divot has 1, 2, 3 lines on it, so of. And then this shallow divot has 2 lines on it, so W. Y has 2 dots. R, 3 dots. M, 3 lines. So worm, comma. This shallow divot has 1, 2, 3 lines on it, is an S. O, U has a line going outwards. L, so sol. Again, these two are done pretty much exactly the same. They're just rotated a bit. O before the F, of. 1, 2, 3 dots on the R, O, O. And then our T is here. Here's a comma, so sol of root. 2 lines on the H, E centered, A outside the word circle. R shallow divot, 3 dots. T, heart. O internal, F, 3 lines. Then 1 line on the V, O internal, I line going inwards, and then this deep divot has 3 dots for D. So there's the void, and then here's the little the comma, and then we have our little guy, and then this is the same thing if you just flip it this way. Yippee. So yeah, those are those designs. Thanks. Bye.